putting up a barrier to my ego or to my personal like self-worth by kind of being this other character. And they can tell that other character, Joe Schmo, they can say anything on the sun because this isn't Dan. So I just one thing that I've done that has been a huge confidence builder, because believe it or not, every human is much, even if they look like they have all the confidence in the world, they still have areas where they're not confident, right? Maybe it's a new product. Maybe it's a new understanding of how technology works. Maybe it's sales. Maybe it's prospecting. Maybe it's girlfriends, boyfriends, you know, whatever it might be. There's a level of uncertainty and unconfidence that we all have until we gather it. One thing I really like in marketing that I've done over the years, and it really helps you get out of your shell, is I take on another persona. Okay, what I mean by that is like, look, no one wants to be called an asshole. I happen to know this because I get called one quite often because I'm a leader and I have to make hard decisions and it pisses some people off, and I'm okay with that. Okay, but a lot of us, we don't really enjoy. I don't think any of us actually. No one enjoys being hung up on, told you suck, you're a jerk, you're an asshole, I don't want your product, leave me alone. I've heard them all. So hopefully, if you guys haven't heard them all, you got to do more prospecting. But a great way to kind of hurdle that fear is move characters. So I have a few online characters that I prospect under. Okay, you'll never know who they are, but when I go into that character, and it's usually just on the keyboard, right? I'm prospecting on YouTube or prospecting on Reddit or wherever, and I'm putting up situations. Wow, that was crazy. Hold on a second. I'm putting up.
There you go.
There we go. I'm putting up a barrier to my ego or to my personal like self-worth by kind of being this other character. And they can tell that other character, Joe Schmo, they can say anything on the sun because this isn't Dan. So I just created a third party, a middleman, which is my salesperson, let's say, that can speak as me, right? Can talk as me. But when the personal insults come to me, they aren't affecting me the same way because it's not Dan. It's this other jerk, you know, Joe Schmo, who, you know, has this total different persona about them. And that's another way for some of you guys that struggle with that. That works in email marketing, right? Cold email marketing. When you're reaching out, you get a lot of people that hit you back. You know this better than anyone because you've done a lot of it. And I know you got a course, you know, like a high level training you're working on for us. That's cool. But that's another way. It's like if the email comes from Sally support, you can be Sally. Yep. And your ego doesn't get hammered. Yep. And what it will do is a lot of you guys will see really, really quickly is that Sally support or Joe Schmo, this persona you have, you'll start to see these insults. And before you know it, you'll program your mind that those insults, whether it's at Sally, Joe, or you, after you've seen it enough times, the fear washes away because you've moved on to the next person so many times. And I think that's one of the things too in the car business that got me really, really kind of callous to like the, you know, kind of the bad frame that people would come in at me at. You know, I talked to you about some of these things, but like getting the objections, getting the like the bad things that, you know, you usually chalk them up in your brain so much bigger than they actually are. But going through the repetition on a daily basis of being told, no, like I'm not going to buy the car, Dan, or you suck, or I don't like you, or whatever it is, that calloused me to understand like, well, I still lived after every day I went to work. I lived. My business is growing, we're doing good. And like, even though the words hurt the first few times, and they probably won't ever not hurt to a certain extent, but the callus gets very thick and you stop being afraid of this thing that can't really affect you if you don't want to let it. But the utilizing of another name in your email address, you know, as your assistant or whatever, great frame to work with. Also, think about this really quick. When you have an assistant, think about how the president of the United States, think about how when they want to reach out to someone, let's say the president wants to reach out to someone that's, you know, their last wish was to speak to the president, or they just had a terrible tragedy. What happens? The secretary of the president calls the person and says, hi, the president of the United States is on the line. I'd like to speak to you. This is his secretary. Can I, what great framing, what great positioning is like, your time's so valuable that someone actually reaches out to connect phone calls for you, like a freaking operator, like it's necessary, right? But what does it do? elevates the frame of who you're speaking to. Like, this person is so important that they have to have someone book their right now call for them. Not like a future call, a right now call. That's framing.
Yeah.